Welcome. You are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me here on the Monday, week 7 edition of In the Lab Room, here to break down the Sunday action from week number 6. Look, it's Tuesday. I'm here talking about Monday, so you know I'm already behind on schedule, so I need to get right to work. So it's Packers and Ravens. Ravens at home looking for their second consecutive win on the season. Green Bay coming off a win within the division against the Detroit Lions after their bye week. They got to 500 last week, looking to get over 500 for the first time all season long. Can you believe that? It's week number 6, and the Packers haven't been over 500 on the season, but that has been the case. So they go to Baltimore looking for a victory, and they came short-handed, already down at the receiver position. No Clay Matthews in this football game. Packers really needed to come in and get it done to win this football game. I've already stated that I did not think the Ravens would make the postseason this year. And I said that this defense would not be the reason if they didn't go. This defense is much improved. And if they don't make the playoffs, if they lack the consistency necessary to make the postseason, it will be because of the lack of weapons around Joe Flacco, the lack of the offensive line being able to get the job done, and the lack of consistent play calling from your offensive coordinator, Jim Caldwell, and the lack of touches for Ray Rice. Those are the reasons why this team will not function at a high enough level, at an efficient enough level to go to the postseason this year. And you saw just about everything in this game that sees this Ravens team being able to win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game, and not be able to string together 3 or 4 wins in a row because they simply don't do the little things right. You're already not that talented as a football team, especially on the offensive side of the football. You can't afford to make mistakes. And let's start from the top. The Packers come into this game, like I said, a little short-handed at receiver. You lose James Jones on the second possession of the game. And Aaron Rodgers is under siege early on. They're getting to him. Terrell Suggs is getting pressure. Elvis Dumervil getting pressure. They're knocking the ball out of Rodgers' hands. This defense gave the Ravens opportunities to jump on this Packers team early on. And this Ravens offense simply could not respond. And it was only going to be a matter of time before the Packers started to rev it up. They couldn't get in the end zone. Neither team could, starting out this football game. And the Packers just kept kicking field goals, and they kept kicking field goals, and they kept telling themselves, if we can continue to kick field goals, we'll find a way to win this football game. We just got to stay the course. And they kept kicking field goals. And before you knew it, it was 9-0. Ravens finally get on the scoreboard. They get a field goal of their own, and they get another field goal, and they feel like they're getting back into the game. And the turning point of this football game for me, was right before the half. The Packers drive the football down the field. The drive stalls out. They got to settle for a Crosby field goal. They attempt the field goal. They miss the field goal. Ravens get the football deep in their own territory. Not enough time to really do anything. Really, they need to take a knee, head it to the half, try to regroup it, and figure out some ways offensively to try to put some points on this scoreboard. Instead, they elect to come out and fire the football on first down. It's incomplete. At that point, after that first incompletion, if you don't do anything on first down, if it's not a draw, if it's not a screen, if it doesn't pick up 15 yards, gives you the ability to think, hey, maybe I can get something out of this drive. If it's not a huge pickup on first down that gives you the idea that maybe I might be able to get something out of this half, you need to go to halftime. They didn't get anything on that first play. They should have went to half. Instead, they attempt another pass. This time, first game starter Eugene Monroe. You just traded for him from Jacksonville. This was his first game starting for the Ravens. He's beaten badly on the play. It's a 3-man rush. There's no excuse for this by Nick Perry. Ball is stripped. Flacco fumbles. It's scooped up by Dayton Jones. There's only about 8 seconds on the clock when he scoops it up. I'm thinking he's going to end up running the half out. Instead, he's tackled with about 1 second left. Just enough time for Crosby to make amends for that missed field goal. He knocks it home, and all of a sudden, it's 12-6 now instead of 9-6 going into the half. And so that was a tough break for the Ravens. You should have went to the half. That was a bad play Packers come out, throw a strike later on down the line, and you can't let Jordy Nelson beat you. Randall Cobb gets injured in this game. He's gone. I already talked about James Jones being injured. He's gone. You're down to Watkins, a second-year pro who hasn't seen the field that many times, and Jordy Nelson, the one guy that can beat you deep. Do not let Jordy Nelson beat you. If anyone's going to beat me, it's going to have to be Boykins. It's going to have to be Jermichael Finley. It will not be Jordy Nelson if I'm the Ravens. And who's the guy you let get up top and beat you deep? Jordy Nelson. He gets in the end zone. And really that was the deciding score, because after the Packers scored that touchdown, went up 19-9 in the football game, the Ravens hadn't produced enough offense to make you feel like they were going to be able to come back and win this football game. Even though Flacco and company put together a late game drive, scored a touchdown with a strike to Dallas Clark, picked up a huge completion on, I want to say it was fourth down, might have been third down, to Tandon Doss. Either way, they get the touchdown. They never see the football again. That's what I love about the Green Bay Packers. The simple fact that when they have you down and it's late in the ball game, they're not afraid to throw the football. And we'll talk about a game where a team got casual with the football late, ended up costing them the game. But that didn't happen to the Green Bay Packers. They got the football and they know how to sit on it. Aaron Rodgers was throwing it around on the third down. He hits Jermichael Finley in stride as they milk away this clock. Eddie Lacy puts the cherry on top of this victory as he gets a first down and slides inbounds to continue to keep that clock running. Packers go into Baltimore and get it done. 19-17. Packers go to 3-2 on the season. Ravens drop to 3-3. And again, I do not think this Ravens team is going to do enough to make it to the postseason. They're right there in the thick of things in the AFC North, however. But to me, this team is too inconsistent to go anywhere in this season. Tough loss for the Ravens. You're at home. Packers are shorthanded. You got every opportunity to win this game, and you can't take advantage of those opportunities. Meanwhile, big win for the Packers on the road. It wasn't pretty by any stretch of the imagination. You lose some guys. You still band together and find a way to win. No Clay Matthews, no James Jones, no Randall Cobb. You still find a way to win. Big win for the Packers on the road. They get it done 19-17. You look at the next game on the slate, a very entertaining football game to say the least. And what have you gotten from the Bills this year at home? Nothing but entertaining football. So if nothing else, you know you're going to get a very entertaining game to watch when the Buffalo Bills are at home, and that's where they were taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. In this football game, Bengals have not won yet on the road, so I was anxious to see where they're going to be able to play consistent football and win on the road. And so I asked the question in the preview, you know, Thad Lewis, who are you? No, seriously, who are you? And he said, hey, you don't remember me, man? I'm that baller from Duke. Remember me, baby? I'm the baller from Duke. I said, oh, yeah, Thaddeus, that's you. I didn't know. And he was out there making some plays. He was running around. He was really instilling confidence in his Bills offense. I mean, he was having fun. You could look at him and tell he was having the time of his life out there playing in this game, and he opened some eyes. I mean, you see why the Bills, and teams don't do this often, but you see why the Bills bypassed their backup quarterback in Jeff Toole and went straight to the practice squad and pulled this guy up. I mean, he looks like a clone of E.J. Manuel, but if you ask me, he seemed a little bit more poised, more athletic than E.J. Manuel, and boy, does he throw a pretty deep ball or what. I mean, what he was able to do in this game, phenomenal. Because, once again, you look at it from the perspective of the Cincinnati Bengals. They thought they were going to come in and dominate a young guy that hasn't had a lot of experience in the National Football League. They thought they were going to come in, apply pressure, force him into some mistakes, win this football game going away. And early on, it looked like Cincinnati had some answers. They finally got my man A.J. Green involved. You're not fully green unless you're A.J. Green. And they finally painted this offense green. I've been asking them to do that for a while now. You got to get this man the football. That catch in the end zone, ridiculous. You can have that and so much more if you just throw A.J. Green the football. Adriel Jeremiah Green, top 5 receiver in this league. No excuse not to be getting him the football. So they got him the football in this game. They were able to sprinkle in a little bit of a run. Look, I love when Giovanni Bernard gets the football in space. This guy is electric. He put a couple of moves on some defenders, got in the end zone. The Cincinnati Bengals were moving the football early on in this game. They did some things, and they jumped out to a 24-10 lead, and they had command of this football game well into the fourth quarter. And then what happens when you're in Orchard Park? Bills are at home. You got to have some kind of controversy. You got to have some kind of fantastic finish in Buffalo. It's the only way to do it. They've had close finishes all season long. They played New England at home, week 1, close finish. They had Carolina at home, close finish. And now this game. And the same thing with the Ravens game. All of these games at home have been nail biters. And so what did you expect? Thaddeus Lewis has a last-ditch effort. They're down 14. They got to have it. They go for it on 4th down. And he finds Mr. Chandler. Scott Chandler. I love this guy because he's not fast. He's huge. You can't miss him. He's about 6'7", but he's not going to out-athletic anyone. He's not going to run by anybody. But if you throw him the football, he catches it. And he ran right by the Cincinnati Bengals defense. They came on a blitz. They gave it up. Lewis throws a beautiful touch pass over the linebacker right to Chandler, who walks into the end zone. It's 17-24. Now Cincinnati needs to find a way to melt away this clock and secure the victory. They can't do so. They give the ball back to the Buffalo Bills. Thaddeus Young. Thad Lewis. I got to stop calling him Young because he reminds me of Vince Young, the way he played this game with such passion. You know, the early Vince Young. That early Vince Young, that first season in Tennessee. I mean, he used to do things like Thaddeus Lewis was doing in this game. But this throw to Goodwin, and he's a burner. You know, the little guy can fly. And he got behind Terrence Newman. And the throw, I mean, oh my goodness. Silky, smooth, milk chocolate. Ooh, that throw was on the money. And he got excited. And all you saw was a coordinator. I want to call it a coordinator. It was a coach, probably the quarterback's coach. He just got up and he hit him on the head, and everybody was excited. And I love to see that kind of adulation on the sidelines. I just love football when guys are out there having fun. In this game, guys were out there having fun. And so that tied it up at 24. Cincinnati had an opportunity to win this thing in regulation. They get to about midfield. They have the drive, stall out. They got to go to overtime. They go to overtime. They do nothing on their first drive. Neither does Buffalo. Cincinnati gets the football on their second drive in overtime, however. And you know, once each team has had a possession, now it's sudden death. First score wins. So now a field goal can win you the football game. Cincinnati gets into Buffalo Bill territory where they kick the game-winning field goal and win in overtime, 27-24. Big win for Cincinnati on the road because they have not been able to win on the road. Look, if you're the Bengals, this is still a wake-up call for you because you were up 14 in the fourth quarter. No excuse for this game to have found its way to overtime. Yet you were able to find a way to win, and that's all that matters. You make the corrections while winning. But if you are Cincinnati, you had a young guy in Thad Lewis out there at quarterback, and you were not able to stop him. That is not something to be proud of if you are Cincinnati. If you look at it from the Bills' perspective, another hard-fought loss. You've got to find ways to win games like this. You lost to New England like this early in the season. You lose this game in similar fashion. And at home, you've been a tough out. But you've got to find a way to not be an out, to find a way to win games at home. You found a way to beat Carolina. You found a way to beat Baltimore in similar fashion. But you've got to find ways to continue to win games like this at home. You hung around, gave yourself a chance. You had the opportunity, got the football in overtime with a chance, and you didn't do anything with it. Tough luck for the Buffalo Bills. They dropped this one 27-24. So the Bills now fall to 3-2, 3-3 on the season. No, Bills now fall to 2-4 on the season. Excuse me. They lost on Thursday night to Cleveland. And so they're 2-4 on the season. Meanwhile, the vice versa of that, Cincinnati goes to 4-2, and now they are atop the AFC North division all by their lonesome. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Matter of fact, let's do it right now. Cleveland at home versus Detroit. The first place. Wait. The first place Cleveland Browns taking on. Wait. The first place Detroit Lions. Now look, they had a share of first place going into Thursday Night Football. Bears win. They take sole possession of first place. But Detroit, with a win, can go back into first place in the NFC North. So both teams have a lot riding on this football game. So you look at it from the Browns' perspective, and it's so nerve-wracking because what this season could have been if only we could have seen what Billy Ho was for an entire season. And I hate to talk about guys who aren't playing and who won't be playing for the rest of the season, but it's so gut-wrenching if you're a Browns fan because you were running away from Brandon Weeden for the remainder of the season. You didn't want to see him as your quarterback for the rest of the season. And as much as I like to be a guy that's an apologist for Brandon Weeden, I can't do it anymore. He's a turnover machine. He makes dumb decisions, and he's not a winner. And so being up 17-7 in this game at the half, getting the ball after halftime with a chance to put these Detroit Lions away, no excuse. No excuse. You're up 10. You get the ball after the half. Go down and get some points. Do something. Put these guys away. And you come out of the half. Your first play is false start on Jordan Cameron. Your next play is a 1-yard loss on a handoff to Willis McGahee. The next play after that is a dump off, and you got to punt. I mean, you got to do something. You're up 10. Put these guys away. You let them hang around. Lions get the football. They go right down the field. And the thorn in your side in this game was Fourier. Joseph Fourier. And Reggie got you for a touchdown, but the story of this game was Joseph Fourier. 3 touchdowns. He only had 3 catches. All of them for touchdowns. And this guy was dancing on you. And he was dancing on you. And he was dunking on you. He Dominiqued on you. I mean, you couldn't stop Joseph Fourier. And offensively, you did what you've done when you've lost this season. You turned the football over. And you had the turnover master in the game in Brandon Weeden, and he did what he's been accustomed to doing since he's entered the NFL. He turned the football over. And simple, and it's really cut and dry. That underhanded pick, whatever you want to call it, I don't even know if it was left-handed or what. That pick, to me, is a microcosm of his career to this point. Boneheaded decision, a turnover, you lose a football game. Those are the type of plays that cement a loss for you. And that's exactly what that play did in this game. It cemented a loss as a guy that is very underrated that has been playing some extremely good football. L.A.B, 2 interceptions in this game. I'd venture to say he's got about 4 or 5 on the season. He did it for the Lions defensively. Joseph Fourier did it offensively. And the Detroit Lions go on the road in a hostile environment, tough place to play and win in Cleveland, and get it done. 31-17. Browns do not score a single point in the second half. Can't win that way. Can't score 17 in the first half and don't score in the second half and expect to win. They lose the football game. They drop to 3-3 on the season and out of first place in the AFC North. Meanwhile, the Detroit Lions maintain first place in the division, meet up with the Chicago Bears at 4-2, and leapfrog them by virtue of a win head-to-head with those Bears. So now they're in first place in the NFC North. Big win for the Chicago Bears. You look at another game, one that I was kind of anxious to see, and that was the Kansas City Chiefs and the Oakland Raiders. The Oakland Raiders. And the Oakland Raiders in this game, they come out 7-0. And you're thinking, wait, maybe the Chiefs haven't beat the Raiders at Arrowhead in the last 6 matchups. So the Raiders, they know something. But as I told my buddy again, huge Oakland Raiders fan, and he thought they were going to go into KC and win this game. I told him, I said, look, when you won those 6 games, was Alex Smith the quarterback? Was Andy Reid the head coach? There's your answer right there. You're not beating this team in Arrowhead. This team is too good. And they had a 7-0 lead, and the Chiefs just kept pounding away. They kept grinding, and they weren't doing anything offensively, but they weren't allowing the Raiders to do anything either. And then Terrell Pryor started, look, we got to get these brothers to stop playing ball out there. And what I mean by ball, you got to stop playing basketball. This is football, okay? We got to get these brothers to stop playing b-ball on the football field, okay? Geno Smith a couple of weeks ago thought he was a Harlem Globetrotter, tried to go behind the back, fumbled the football. Terrell Pryor continuously is creating ways to throw the football. First it was the jump pass. Then he was doing turnaround fadeaways. And in this game, he thought he had perfected the fadeaway. He faded back, threw it while he was fading away, got picked off, and that led to points. And in a crucial time in this game, Raiders were still in this football game. They turned it over late a couple of times, and they lose this football game 24-7. Look, this is what the Chiefs do. And I said they're just like a boa constrictor. As the game wears on, they wrap themselves around your neck, and they continue to grind away. They run the football. They don't make mistakes. They force you into some turnovers. And by the game's end, you're worn down. They start tightening that grip on your neck. You can't breathe. They suffocate you. You turn it over. They get points. You end up losing by 17. This was not a 17-point victory. If you watch this game wasn't a domination of the Raiders from start to finish. The Chiefs ran away at the end because they wore the Raiders down. The Raiders had offensive line issues. They were shuffling around their offensive linemen like you shuffle around a shuffleboard. I mean, they were shuffling around guys all over the place. Center goes to guard, guards go to center, tackles go to guard. It was an atrocity, okay? And that yielded the Chiefs 10 sacks in this football game. And so 10 sacks, 3 Terrell Pryor interceptions, you lose 24-7. No turnovers by the Chiefs, except one. Donnie Avery did put it on the floor, but it didn't matter. This Chiefs defense was suffocating. This Chiefs offense, they're not going to help you out. And so they win the football game 24-7. They remain unbeaten on the season. They're 6-0. And the Raiders are now 2-4 in the season. And look, tough break for the Raiders. You go on the road. You start out fast. You get a Denarius Moore touchdown strike. And then you can't follow up on it. You turn it over. You can't establish the run. You put a lot of the onus on the shoulders of Terrell Pryor, and he starts playing b-ball. It happens. Or maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe it just happens to the Raiders. Either way, the Raiders drop this one. They're now 2-4. The Chiefs remain unbeaten, and this is a good Chiefs football team. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Defensively, this is where this team is going to win games. They're going to stop you from scoring points, force you into mistakes. Their offense isn't making mistakes. No one ever is going to confuse this Chiefs offense for the Denver Broncos offense. But what they will do is slow you down to a snail's pace and get you to play their type of football. And once you fall into that trap, they got you, and that's when they start scoring points off of the mistakes that you're making because of their defense. So if they get it done, they're 6-0. Raiders 2-4. Big win for the Kansas City Chiefs at home. So you look at the next matchup on the slate. This one, huge surprise. Even though they were in a downward spiral, I still didn't see this one coming. I could not have forecast this one. If you had told me this was going to happen, I still would not have believed it. St. Louis Rams on the road at Houston to take on the Texans. And I looked at this football game and I said, okay, Houston, Texans. Got a chance. You couldn't have asked for a better matchup, maybe except for the Jacksonville Jaguars coming to your place. That's the only option that could have been better than the St. Louis Rams coming to your house for a football game when you're struggling, can't find a way to get it done, losers of 3 straight. You need an antidote entering the St. Louis Rams. And I said, hey, if Schaub and company can't get well in this game, then they're done for the rest of the season. And the St. Louis Rams said, okay, I tell you what, they're done, and we'll put an exclamation point on it just to make sure there's no questions. No questions, exclamation point. And they jumped on these guys early, often, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was 7. It was 14. It was 21. It was 28. It was 35. It was 38. Oh, wait a minute. What the hell is going on out there? I felt like Vince Lombardi. What the hell is going on out there? I mean, if it wasn't Sam Bradford hooking up with Lance Kendricks in the end zone or some other tight end in the end zone, if it wasn't a pick six, and we know the Texans love throwing pick sixes, if it wasn't Ogletree or more Ogletree, please. If it wasn't him returning one for a touchdown, and for me, the biggest play of the game, early on, DeAndre Hopkins, Rams go down, score a touchdown. Texans looking to answer that touchdown with a touchdown of their own to build some momentum. He fumbles the football. Rams scoop it up, take it deep into Texans territory, end up scoring a touchdown. And from that point on, it was downhill and downhill fast. I felt like I was on a downhill slope with skis on a straight incline. I mean, on a straight decline, excuse me. And they didn't have any answers. It was like an avalanche of follies for the Texans back to back to back to back. Man, are they in some trouble. And I said Matt Schaub wasn't the answer. I told you Tyler Jonathan Yates isn't the answer. He comes in, he throws a pick six. The Texans are in bad shape. St. Louis Rams go into Houston and rough up the Texans 38-13. They ran the football with Zach Stacy. He looks to be a guy that has emerged as a serious ball carrier for the Rams. They mix it around. They spread it around to all the targets. Gibbon gets involved. So does Brian Quick. He catches a touchdown pass in this game. They got the ball to Jared Cook a little bit. They did everything you want to do in a football game. I mean, there's not much that they can take in the form of negatives from this football game. Of course, there are some things they could do better. But Arian Foster went off in this game. A Herculean effort was wasted because Arian Foster was absolutely gashing this Rams defense on the ground, through the air. I mean, Arian Foster was averaging 9 yards per carry at the half. He was having his way with this Rams defense, whether he was catching a screen, catching a flare route, or running the football. He was having his way with this Rams defense, and they absolutely wasted his performance in this game. What a shame. Rams get it done. They're 3-3 on the season. And look, I've talked a lot of trash about this Rams team this year. After starting 1-3, looking like they were lost, they're winners of 2 in a row. They went on the road in decisive, commanding fashion, win against a reeling Texans team. You got to give this Rams team some credit. And every time I try to count Jeff Fisher out, he reminds me that, hey, damn it, I'm Jeff Fisher. Don't do that. Fine. You've got my attention. You're 3-3. This team's playing some solid football. You look at it conversely, wow, Texans are in a mess. If they continue on this path, Schaub will be out as quarterback. Kubiak will be out as head coach. And this Texans team probably will have to be blown up because all the pieces are starting to get older. And Dre is getting up there in age. Arian Foster, the tread on those tires are going to wear thin very soon because they've been running him into the ground in the last 2 or 3 seasons. And so no telling how much he has left. This thing could turn ugly quickly because they were supposed to be 1 or 2 pieces away from the Super Bowl. Now they look like they're 1 or 2 pieces away from the Piss Bowl. And so they're drinking from the piss cup right now. And if they're smart, they'll pass that piss cup along and try to right the ship before it's too late in Houston. They dropped this one 38-13. They're now 2-4 in the season. 4 consecutive losses. I don't know where the Texans go from here, but I know Vince Young, VY, said, hey, I'm ready. I'm here. Pick up the phone, call me, baby. I'm ready to go. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to go. Today, he's ready to go. So, hey, Texas, if you need somebody, Vince said, hey, just call me if you need me. So, we'll see. But, man, are those guys bad or what? Big win by the Rams on the road. They get it done 38-13. Dominated performance by the St. Louis Rams. You look at the next matchup on the slate, and the Steelers traveled to the Jets. And I said, look, and I said this on my Soul Survivor picks on Wednesday. If you feel that confident in the Jets, no doubts whatsoever that they're better than the Steelers and they're going to win this game, pick them. But if there was any doubt, then you couldn't do it. And that's why. Because this Jets team isn't that good. Now, they proved me wrong on Monday Night Football versus the Atlanta Falcons. But I think it was more about the Falcons showing their true colors than the Jets going out and making a statement. The Jets aren't that good of a football team. They play defense. And you can't understate that for 1 second. This is a Jets team that week in, week out is going to play defense. Offensively, they are definitely going to have to find ways to score. And if you don't play any defense and there's no resistance, yeah, Geno Smith will carve you up. They'll run the football effectively and they'll beat you. But if your defense is any good, you'll force Geno Smith into some mistakes and you'll end up winning the football game. And that's what the Steelers did. Forced Geno Smith into 2 picks. And Ben Roethlisberger was able to throw the football around a little bit, found Emmanuel Sanders on a beautiful play-action fake, hit him up top. And, you know, those are the type of plays, if you are the Steelers, you got to hit more of those. Stretch the field. This Todd Haley system of everything being short and getting the ball out of Roethlisberger's hands quickly, yada, yada, yada. To me, that's garbage. That's hogwash. This Steelers team needs to get vertical. They need to be more explosive. They need to find ways to get Ben out of the pocket and allow him to freelance a little bit. And so he was able to do that in this game, did some things, stretched the field, got Emmanuel Sanders a football, got the ball to Antonio Brown in this football game. They were able to run a little bit, and they did just enough. You know, about 4 field goals from Sean Sweezum. You sprinkle in a touchdown deep to Emmanuel Sanders, and the Pittsburgh Steelers get it done at New York. 19-6. Jets don't get it done offensively. Geno Smith was terrible in this game. He turned it over twice. They couldn't get it going offensively. They missed a guy like Kellen Winslow, who was out with a suspension. And they lose Mike Goodson for the season, tore his ACL as well as his MCL. So any little bit of speed that they were starting to acquire is slowly dwindling away. You know, Santonio Holmes is on the shelf as well. So this is a team that is hurting. But they had opportunities. Geno Smith had a wide-open Stephen Hill in this game, overshot him. You want to win football games. You want to beat the Steelers. You want to keep this momentum going that you had going coming into this football game. You got to hit plays like that. Stephen Hill was wide open. If he hits him in stride, he walks in the end zone. Instead, you miss him. You end up losing the football game 19-6. Big win for the Steelers. That's their first of the season, and they needed that. They needed that win in the worst possible way for their confidence, for their psyche. Now, they got the Ravens coming up. If they could find a way to beat the Ravens at home in Week 7, get to 2-4 in the season, the Steelers aren't done yet. So that's a huge matchup for them coming up in Week 7. Conversely, you look at the Jets. They lose this football game. A winless Steelers team comes into your venue and gets it done. Tough way to lose when you felt like you were building some momentum of your own on the season. Now this loss brings you crashing back to earth. Jets lose this football game 19-6, drop to 3-3 on the season. So that's going to do it for part 1 of this episode, the Monday edition of In the Lab Room. I thank you for joining me. Come back for part 2 when I break down the remaining games in week number 6. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. See you back here very, very shortly.